everybody. Today we are going to do another studio tutorial. Today it's going to be on building using the union, negate, and separate tools and the different welds and all those connections, and working with the increments here. So the first demonstration we're going to be doing how about we make a boat. Those are good for unions. So say I want to do a canoe. Okay, so I'm going to make this brown color. I'm going to make it that texture, and I can resize it however I want here. How about it's going to be a small canoe, but whatever. Yeah, okay, so okay, now this one, okay, well, there we go. Oh. Okay, so what I did there is I took a cylinder and I took an oval, because that's not a thing that you can get from just the part button there. You have to go into Toolbox and get it from there. It's quite useful. I really like by that one guy, this one that appears at the top here, it says by the Cat's Meow 10. So that one works really well. If you ever are using ovals, use that one. I mean, you don't have to, but that's the one that works the best for me. Okay, so now we have the body of our canoe, and we can now you can use whatever order you want. I think some people would union it here and then make another block and then negate that, but I think the less steps, the easier it is to redo stuff if you make a mistake. So I like to do as little steps as possible here. So now I'm gonna make this block like this, and I'm gonna make it go down. Well, here. I might as well show you the increments now. Okay, so right now it's not really being nice with the way that it's set up, because it's not an even number, the canoe part. So this isn't gonna, I mean, it should just go by 1, but usually in that case you can just drag it again and it should work. But let's see if that works this time. Yeah, so it's not doing that this time. So what you want to do is, in this situation, you can change it to 0.5 is what I would need for this situation. And you go down 1, and there it is. And then you can change it back to 1. And I can negate this part, and I can select all of these and union it. And then see how now it's just like this. Okay. So now if I want to make the indentation on the inside of the canoe, I just duplicate it and then move it up and negate the top one and union that, and there you go. There you have your canoe. So what's another good example? Okay, here's something that you should know. So say I'm making walls. Okay. So I have a wall here, and I duplicate it, and I have another wall there, okay? Now, if I go and play this, you can see I can go up to the wall here, and I can go up to the wall all the way over there, and all the way over here. Now, it'll do this same thing if I group it, but if I union it, and then watch what happens. See how that blocked me off from going all the way to the corner? That's because in the union, it bridges over like details like that. You can't see it. It's still there, but the block is there, so you can't do that. So if I were to like have, I don't know, a truss or something here that you could climb up, you wouldn't be able to climb there because of that. So that's an important thing to know about unions. So, that's another good example. Okay, so, okay. Oh, I don't like, okay. Alright, so if I want to build a rock, I'm going to build the same kind of rock that I did on one of my games, Terrain Wars. You might have seen it. Okay. So you start kind of with a block here, and then what I do is I like to just duplicate it and then randomly, well, that was bad, randomly just rotate it, and then you can duplicate that, and you can do that, and that, and that, and, you know, that kind of thing. And so now I kind of have a rock. Now, and these all need to be anchored. Okay, so if I go play the game, it'll all work fine. But if I union it, it saves space in here. I mean, you could always group it and then just do that, but it's a whole lot easier if you do it this way. So now I can go and, now this one, it doesn't do the weird thing where, I mean it does, but it doesn't affect it as much. It's not like it's just a thing that you can't climb on at all. You can still climb around on it, but if you look closely here, you can see I'm standing on the invisible air right there, and you can't see the part there, but there's stuff there. So it still does that, but like in this situation, it's a lot smaller, and it doesn't cause as much of a problem. But this is a situation where you could use a union. Now, when you don't want to use a union is when, say, I'm going to build a tree. You know, there's a wood texture on here, but I actually think that the slate texture looks a little bit more like wood or bark. Okay, that's a bit large. Okay, so I'm making a tree. Okay, so there's the trunk, and then I can take a sphere. Now you can, if you saw how I built the rock, you can do that for the top part of the tree, but in Terrain Wars, in that game, for the deciduous trees, the pine trees I did differently, but the deciduous trees this placing thing is bad. Alright, for the deciduous trees, I used spheres, and I'll see if I can replicate it now. It might be hard to do, but I don't know why this thing is buggy. It's annoying, but whatever. Okay, so I can change this to say that's it. If I want to leave texture like that and it's dark green, okay? And then let me make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so I have that. In really old Roblox games, this is what the trees look like, okay? But say I want to make it a little bit better, and I want it to be this. I want to make this like that, and like that. Oops. I can, do this. I can duplicate it and, move it around. And I can make it look like this is bad. Whoops. But if you've seen, I'm just doing it a very simple version of it, but if you've seen it in my Terrain Wars game, the way I do the deciduous trees on the forest map, it's a bit better. But see here, basically what I'm trying to say for an example here is, now this is awful, I know it doesn't look good at all, but that's just kind of the process I used for building the trees in that other game. They look a lot better than the other game, just trust me. I mean, there's a lot more detail and it looks more realistic. The placement I did of these smaller spheres is bad compared to what I had before. But say you can't, ignoring the trunk there, you can't union this because they're different colors and they're different textures. Because then if you union it, it'll all go to one color and one texture. Unless they changed the color thing. Maybe they changed that, because it kind of looks like they're still different colors. But once something is already unioned, here I'll just, yeah, okay, so you don't do that. It doesn't keep texture. So say I want to make this. Okay, so say I build some thing here, and I union it, and you know what, I'm just going to try something quick. No, okay, never mind. Alright, so I union it, but then I realize, oh, I want to change the color and the texture. Once it's already unioned, the colors don't change. Okay, see, I can change the color over here and it shows, but it doesn't show up on the thing here. You can change the texture, but you can't change the color. So that's another thing about unions. Separate just basically undoes the union in the negate. You've probably seen, with the canoe, I showed you how to negate. It just makes like it's a negative part, and you use it to create holes and stuff like that. Now, that's pretty much it for that kind of thing. You know, increments, you can that's just the basics of how to, oh, this thing. I almost forgot about that. Okay, so you know what, let's do this. I'm gonna do terrain in a different lesson, but for now I'm just gonna use this as an example. Okay. Okay, so I want to make, alright, so I'm just going to show you the things in here. So spring is I can't do it now, I don't have to select anything there. But spring is pretty self-explanatory, okay? Give me a sec, sorry. It's like a spring. It's shocks on a car if you're going to use it that way. It can be pretty much anything you want it to be. Now watch if I run this. Oops, what did I do? Oh, okay, well, that happens. is that anchored? Okay, well, if I can change the properties of this and make it stronger, or you know, whatever. And now watch it. Okay. Oh, well, you know, you gotta make it so that it okay, well, you gotta make it, depending on what you're building, you gotta build it differently so that that kind of thing doesn't happen, but I'm not gonna go into the complicated stuff like that now. Okay, so if I want to do, how about a rod? Okay, so it's just holds it in place. It's like a pole, I think. I don't know. I haven't used that before, but I think that's what it does. We'll just test and see. Yeah, so it literally just holds it in place. It's like a pole. Okay. Okay, how about rope? Let's do rope. Okay, actually, let's... Okay. Whoa. There we go, okay. Alright, so I can make a, this is, yeah, close enough. Alright, so I can make a block hang from this pole. Okay. Now if I move this up, a rope is basically something that you can hang stuff from. Okay, so I'm going to run it. Okay, well, first of all, I actually have to, like, go and show you that it moves around. Okay, you hit it, it just does that. It's a rope. That's literally what it is. Okay. Now, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, okay, so when I was building a sailboat, I, you know, used those ropes instead of having to create individual, you know, cylinders connected by different parts to make hanging ropes. So what I did was, okay, just for example, I'm just going to use 2 spheres. Okay, this is not lined up. Okay, there we go. Alright, so these are anchored. Now, if I take this, put it there, and put it there, okay? So now, right now, that rope is just going to be taut there if I run. At least it should be. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't move. But now watch, if I make the length 10, now it has slack. And I can, you can mess around with all this stuff on here. I can make it larger, and can change the color on all that stuff. I have not done the ball and socket thing yet. I'm going to try that right now. I think I have an idea what it'll do, but oh my goodness. This mouse is like really annoying. I'm using a different mouse, so it's different than what I'm used to, and it's kind of thrown me off. Okay, so we'll pretend that that's in the middle more than it is. It might not be perfect. No, it's not, because this is an uneven. Or if I do that, it's in the middle. Alright, so, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, ball and socket. Okay, so I can lower that and just duplicate it and unanchor that one, I think. And then if I do here, here. I can move this down now. That one should be see if it does what I think it does. Yeah, so that's what it does. You can kind of see it's a ball in a socket. That's literally what it is. All those things are pretty self-explanatory. I suppose maybe I should have probably just get rid of this. I don't know why I did that. Okay, it's that. It's like if you have a joystick or whatever, you can use it for that. Or like a gear shift on a car, any of that kind of thing. Because essentially right now the way I have it set it up, it's acting like a rope, but like a rope with no length. But anyway, you get the idea. Alright. I'm not going to do these for now. I've never used those before. I'll maybe do those later in a different thing. Welds. They use these in really old, ever since like the really old Roblox games. But no, that's not. Except, okay, so I don't. There. That's how you do a weld. You click and drag and watch what happens. I wonder if I move this up. Okay, they stay together. That's what happens. Alright. Simple enough. You can also like use a I should also go for those. So while I'm at it, okay, I'll do the hinge in just a second. The hinge is like a, well, in fact, that's going to be hinge. I don't think I've used it from that button before. We'll see. I'm just going to test this out quick, see what it does, because I have not done it from using that button. Yeah, okay, so that's what it does. Alright, you didn't see what it did there. I just know what it's supposed to do, so I know what it kind of did there. But don't worry, because they snapped to each other, don't worry about that. Just forget about that. Okay, so the hinge does the same thing as, okay, so, for example, I want to make a vehicle. I will make a very simple boat that does not look like a boat, because why not? Alright, so I want to move this up. Alright, so I'm not going to be using perfection weld in this, because when you're making spinning parts, you can't really use perfection weld. Unless you could, but it would have to be, you'd have to group the parts of your model into two different things. One of them that would be perfection weld, and one of them that would not be welded together. So if I take this, I duplicate it. Say I want a paddle boat. Okay. Alright. Okay. Should that be one longer? Yeah, alright. Alright, so if you look here, normally I would just union this, but just so I can demonstrate, I'm going to do weld there, and I can just move them up to each other, and they would stick together. I could also do, glue, and it would do the same thing. Glue is just that. Oh, what? Okay, glue is like the same thing, essentially. I don't know what the difference is. Okay, smooth, same thing, smooth, no outline, it's all the same. Just don't worry about it. Studs are that. Studs connect with inlets, so I could put these together and they would stick. Universal, it's like that. So that's, if you're going to do that, that's useful, because then you don't have to worry about the studs and inlets being on the right side, they're just all over. Weld, I did that. Okay, so I'm going to use weld for now. Alright, so what I want to do here is I can take hinge, okay, put that there, and put it there, okay. Now if I, just gonna, 1 second, I'm gonna just, alright, so I want to add weld on all the sides of these. Okay, you gotta if you're gonna use a hinge, you gotta connect it right up next to the other one. Okay. I'll go over building vehicles in a different thing, but you're gonna get a little bit of a sneak peek here of how they work. So do you see how I'm rotating them so that the welds connect in here? Okay. So I'm welding these pieces to the hinged piece right there, which is in turn connected to this piece, which is essentially acting as the axle. Now I duplicate those. I move this over, connect that. Okay. So the bare bones, this is a paddle boat. This is how a paddle boat works. I know it doesn't look like a boat at all, but that's how it works. I have to insert. I'm using a drop-down menu. So that's one of the things I noticed in my other video. I noticed that you don't see the drop-down menus that I can see on my screen in the video. So I'll just read off what I'm doing. So I'm right-clicking on workspace. There's a drop-down menu. I go to drop-down, insert object. I hover over that and go over to that drop-down, and I find vehicle seat. I click on it and it inserts a vehicle seat. Okay. I don't know which way it's facing right now, but we'll find out by testing it. Okay, so it's facing that way. So I'm going to rotate it because I actually want it to be facing the other direction. Okay. Alright, simple enough. This is actually going to be, I'm going to weld the that and the bottom of the vehicle seat. Okay. Now, if I take this, and I am just going to group it. I didn't really go over grouping, but it's simple enough. It's just like that. it's useful if you're using perfection weld or whatever. Paddle boat. Alright, now I take that and I put it over here on the water. I'll put it over here actually, and I can go and put it here. Oh, I forgot to make it so that it floats. Oh well. Yeah, okay, let me fix that quick. It shouldn't be a problem, but I'll just, no, I guess I'll do a quick little simple lesson on here. Density makes it float more or less. Friction, and the friction and the elasticity, I don't exactly know how I mean, I know what friction is and I know what elasticity is, but I don't know how it, interacts with the thing here. When I change them, it doesn't seem to make any difference. So for now, I'm going to make this point, how about, we'll try 0.4. And while I'm at it, you also, when you're doing a boat, you're going to want this to be, like, better. Make it 1000 for now. Torque, that turn speed 2. I don't exactly remember what you need for that. I might have done it too much there with the... Okay, so there you go. That's how hinges work. And now you have a paddle boat. Ooh, that's a... See, because there's like an indentation in the water there, so it kind of fell through there. But watch, now I can do this. Okay, I wonder if I go back there, if it'll let me over. Okay, I'll be right down. So, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. If I miss something, I can always go over it in another video. And until then, I will see you later.